Not only does the ACT exam help students reach their educational goals, but it can also assist them in identifying potential career fields they might be interested in. You'll hear about that now in part 2. Let's talk a little bit now about the ACT student report. The ACT is much more than just a score. We provide a lot of information to help the student identify their academic strengths and areas where they might need improvement, to explore possible college majors and careers, to select a college that fits their aspirations, to decide on the remaining high school courses to take, and to determine how much education they'll need for the jobs that they're thinking about. Here's the front page of the ACT Student Score Report. We'll go through each section one at a time. As you can see here, this is the score report for Ann Taylor. Now, Ann Taylor took the ACT and she got a composite score of 21. The composite score is an average of the other 4 multiple choice sections on the ACT. So her composite score is a 21. She got a 21 out of 36. So that tells you a little bit about how well she did, but it doesn't really allow you to compare between her and other students. But if you look to the right, you can see that she scored in the 56th percentile. So that means that she scored equal to or better than 56% of the students who took the ACT. Now in English, she scored a bit better. She scored a 24 out of 36, which puts her in the 76th percentile. In other words, she scored equal to or better than 76% of the students who took the ACT. Now in math, she didn't score quite as well. She scored a 19, which put her in the 49th percentile. She scored a bit better in reading, a 23, which puts her in the 64th percentile. And again, not quite as well in science. She scored an 18, which put her in the 29th percentile. So as you can see, she can use the ACT score report to identify where her strengths are and her weaknesses are. And if she wants to take it again, she can use this part of the score report to identify what areas she might want to focus her study time on as she prepares to take it a second time. Now, Ann opted to take the optional writing test. She scored a 10. Now that's a 10 out of 12. The score range for the writing section goes from 2 to 12. Why 2 and not 1? Well, because the ACT writing is scored, not machine scored, but is scored by real people, by 2 readers. Each assign a score between 1 and 6. They're added together, so 2 to 12 is the possible range. So she scored a 10 out of 12, which sounds like a good score. And then when you look at her percentile ranking and see that it's 97th percentile, you can see that she actually scored quite well. In fact, she scored so well on the writing section that it bumped up her English section score of 24 to a combined English writing score of 25. So as you can see, students can use the score section of their score report to identify their strengths and weaknesses and areas where they want to improve. The bottom of the ACT score report shows the college planning component of the ACT. When students register to take the ACT, we give them 4 free colleges and universities where they can have their scores sent to. Ann chose to have her scores sent to the University of Omega, Alpha University, Beta Community College, and Magna College. These are obviously fictitious institutions. The first 3 columns to the right identify the student's likelihood of being able to get into those colleges and universities that she's having her scores sent to. So for example, at the University of Omega, the majority of the students who enroll at the University of Omega are in the top 50% of their class. Now if you look at the bottom, you can see where Ann's information is provided, and she indicated that she's in the top 25 of her class. Now at the University of Omega, the middle 50% of enrolling students scored between an 18 and a 24 on the ACT. Look down at Ann's and you can see that she scored a 21. At the University of Omega, the average high school GPA of enrolling students is a 2.76, and Ann's high school GPA is a 3.29. So as you can see, Ann probably has a pretty good chance of getting into the University of Omega. On the other hand, she seems to be a cut above the other students who enroll there, so she might not find it very challenging. So let's take a look at Alpha University. At Alpha University, the majority of students were in the top 25% of their graduating class, and Ann was in the top 25% of her graduating class. At Alpha University, the middle 50% scored between a 21 and a 26 on the ACT, and she scored a 21 on the ACT. So again, she's right in there. The average high school GPA at Alpha University is a 3.12, and Ann's high school GPA is a 3.29. Ann, again, has a pretty good chance, a pretty decent chance of getting into Alpha University, but it might be a better fit for her. She might find herself to be more challenged at that institution than at the University of Omega. And she can do that analysis at Beta Community College and at Magna College as well. Okay, so those three columns dealt with what's my likelihood of getting into the institution. The next column is, do I want to get into that institution? In other words, do they have the program that I'm interested in studying? So if you go down to the bottom of the screen, you can see where Anne indicated when she registered for the ACT that she wants to study business and management. So this column here indicates whether they have it at that institution. And all four of her choices do. Okay, so that was, can I get in? And do I want to get in? Now the next column is, can I afford to get in? International students will look at the right-hand figure for that column. And as you can see, tuition and fees are provided in that column for each of the four institutions. Again, this is information that colleges and universities provide via the institutional data questionnaire. Can I get in? Do I want to get in? Can I afford to get in? And the last part of that question is, can I get financial aid or scholarships that will also help me be able to afford to get in? And this last column on the left-hand side, it shows the percent of students at that institution that get need-based financial aid and that get merit-based financial assistance. So that was the college planning component of the ACT score report. Now also, when students register to take the ACT, we ask them 72 questions to help their career planning. These 72 questions aren't, are you interested in being a doctor? Are you interested in being a lawyer? Do you want to, be an engineer? Because we feel at this stage in a student's life, they probably aren't very familiar with what all those jobs do. But they are familiar with what their own interests are. So we ask them 72 task-based questions that we ask them to answer, whether they like, dislike, or are indifferent to them. So for example, how do you feel about helping someone make an important decision? How do you feel about teaching people a new hobby? How do you feel about discussing a misleading advertisement with a salesperson? So students identify whether they like, dislike, or are indifferent to to those 72 tasks. And ACT takes their answers and matches them to jobs that are high in those tasks that they indicate they like, and low in those tasks that they indicate they don't like or are not interested in, as a way of helping them identify careers that they might be likely to enjoy or find fulfilling. And then when a student receives their ACT score report, they also receive information about colleges and occupations that match to those interests using our World of Work map. This is a picture of our World of Work map. All college majors and occupations differ in how much they involve working with data, ideas, people, and things, or combinations thereof. So when we receive the students' answers to their 72 interest inventory questions, we guide them to those areas on the World of Work map where we believe they would find careers and occupations that would be of interest to them. Now here's the back of the report. This is the part of the report that students can use to help them plan their education and their career. As you can see, the World of Work map is at the bottom of the back of the report. Now we'll go through each of the three columns at the top of the report one by one to show you how students would use it to help in their planning for education and career. This first column shows the results of the interest inventory. As you can see, based on how this student answered those 72 interest inventory questions, we believe she has a preference for working with people and data. People and data are map regions 2, 3, and 4 on the World of Work map. Then the bottom box of this column identifies those career areas that are in map regions 2, 3, and 4, so that the student can consider exploring some of those careers that we believe she has a good chance of finding fulfilling and interesting. Okay, so that was the results of the interest inventory. Now the second column shows you how the results of your interest inventory match to your study plans. Recall that this student indicated that she wants to study business and management? Well, business and management primarily involves working with people and data. And you'll remember that according to her interest inventory results, ACT determined that this student has a preference for working with people and data. So in this instance, there's a match. Her study plans are in line with her interests in that they both indicate working with people and data. But it's not always the case, and in those instances where there's misalignment between an individual's interests and their study plans, this column will point that out and suggest other fields of study for the student to consider. Now the next column identifies how it matches to their career plans. Anne indicated that she wants to work in banking and finance. Now banking and finance falls under Map Region 2. Once again, Map Region 2 falls within the three regions that her interest inventory indicated that she's interested in. So again, there's an alignment with her plans, but again, it's not always going to be that case, and when it's not, it throws up a red flag for students to think, well, maybe I should explore other career areas. After students receive the results of their interest inventory, then they can go to our website, www.actstudent.org/WWM, which stands for World of Work Map, where they can even further explore their career options. They can either explore it by clicking on majors and identifying what majors there are out there and what they can do with those majors, or they can go about it the opposite way and click on occupations and see a listing of those occupations. In this instance, Anne clicked on majors. Remember, she said she was interested in studying business and management? Well, here she clicked on the business administration and management major. Up pops a window on that major, and it identifies the topics of study, the degrees that are available, for example, a 2-year degree, 4-year degree, an MBA, PhD, and so forth, and related occupations for that major. Or again, she can do the exploration by the other side, by clicking on occupations, and all occupations show up alphabetically. She can click on one. Remember, she said she was interested in working in banking and finance. Well, she could have clicked on one of the banking occupations. She, in this instance, clicked on financial manager, and up pops a window that identifies what a financial manager does, the size, salary, and growth, whether it's a growing industry or a shrinking industry for that occupation, and what the entry requirements are to become a financial manager. If she decides she doesn't like the idea of working as a financial manager, she can click on other occupations like lawyer. As you can see, your ACT test results can serve as a very helpful and unique tool in discovering how your interests and strengths match well with specific careers. In Part 3, we want to quickly recap all of the reasons the ACT test might be right for you.